I don't know what happened this past week. But hello and welcome back. Yeah, I never done much with gardening this past week, but I'm going to do an update now. This is the grapevine by the back door, and it looks like the buds are starting to grow. I'm going to leave it a couple of days, but this is May the 3rd, which is quite a bit early for buds to be starting to grow on this grapevine this year. The leaves are opening up on the rose bush. Well, the bud started out early. It's taking its own sweet time to actually get its leaves growing. Clematis, I think it's called. Nice and calm out there today. Buds are getting really big on the, got the name of this, I forgot now. Anyway, they're getting really big, they're not opening up yet. The weather hasn't been comfortable, but it hasn't been freezing either. As the buds on the snowball bush are getting pretty close to opening up. In fact, you can see one right there that's starting to break open and the leaf come out. Just noticed this morning that this rose bush, it has some areas that looks like it has seen better days. And so you see that branch coming up across there. That's an old branch. I'm going to have to cut it back. It looks like I'm going to have to cut it way on back to the ground because it's an old branch that needs to go. The leaves and the buds are opening up on, this is a sage bush, Saskatoon berry, Bartlett's pear, depending on where you're from. The buds are getting well along the way on the cherry trees now. This is Romeo cherry. Seems like the buds are swelling up on the smoke bush, but not really overly noticeable yet. Here by the whole greenhouse, I can get up and I can show you the buds that are on the, this is just a regular maple, and so they're coming well along the way. The pond is holding the water back more. I'm going to get some pond liner to do my well around the inside. So what I'm thinking about, the stuff that I have left over, maybe I'll put a barrier down right here, and that might help hold back the water. Then I could just dig down right in that spot, put the pond liner piece down there, put some up against the hedge, and then cover in the part up here. I can just do it with sods for that matter, this top part, and see how well that works. There's actually nice parts about here in the spring, and here's one of them, because now you can see the little pipe draining the water. You can see the form of the land. And then I go up here. See, in the spring, you can see, like I said, the exact form of the land. You can see exactly where the path is and everything. When stuff is growing like crazy, then this will be completely filled in. You won't be able to see exactly where the water starts or where the trail is. And so it gets a little difficult getting, well, not difficult, risky, I guess, going across here, because you could accidentally step off the edge on either side. And the willow that I don't know what the species or variety is, if anybody knows, of course, I always would like for you to leave it in the comments and let me know what kind of a willow thing this is. This is the second pear tree, and it's got really big buds starting on it. The other one, well, the buds are started. They're not out as big as this. This is a tree of excitement. I don't know about this thing because it's always puzzled me why, if you've got a tree that produces both the stamens and the pistil, the male and the female parts of a flower, why do you have to have two trees to cross-pollinate? They should be able to pollinate themselves. Now, this tree, and so you see those rounded buds, that's flower buds. The pointy ones are the leaves. And this thing is going to be loaded in flowers this year. This will be the third year it has put out flowers. And I am just so anxious to get fruit off this. This is the Myrobland Cherry Plum. Now, 10 feet up the way, this is another cherry plum tree. And not a flower. Everything there that I can see is leaf buds. This is the white currant down below. The buds are quite well swelled up on them. But remember, this is a currant. And it's just the swollen buds. No leaves coming out yet. And this one here is the one that we have no idea. I don't know where the seed got down there. But we're thinking that it's elderberry. And that's a really beautiful. The leaves are out. You see the big cluster of flower buds there. So it's gonna have, looks like 2 clusters of flowers. So that's the one that's growing here beside that raised bed. The other ones down by the front of the garden, they're the same. Pixwell gooseberry. It looks like it's doing better. So you note that the leaves are coming out on it. I just moved it from right there where it wasn't doing very well at all. I moved it down there about 6-8 feet. And it seems to be doing better. Coming through here, don't even have to turn the camera off, I just keep on going. This is the cherry that we don't know yet if it's a big cherry or if it's the wild cherry. We're just waiting to see, but it's going to have a lot of flowers on it, and of course lots of other cherry trees around, so I should get fruit off that this year. Well, you remember last year, I almost got a fruit, and I think the birds took it. But there's quite a few on there, so hopefully this year we'll find out whether that's a larger cherry or just the wild tiny ones. Now this is currant. See, this is the red currant, if I remember correctly, and the leaves are almost out on it. The ground is a little bit drier here. I don't know. I guess it makes a little bit better area for it because we're here. Like I say, the leaves are almost breaking open there on this one, whereas the white currant down there, then you just got the swollen bulbs. And then we can just go along. That's another currant. This is the black currant. And this is black currant. And as you can see, the leaves are starting to open up. Whereas this is the two gooseberry ones that are growing really well. And the leaves are at the same stage as what it is on the Pixwell gooseberry. So, I mean, there's some excitement to this, and I think I might have mentioned this already, that I was informed that this biggest one is probably a male, and if it is, that's a female. And not only that, if we go back here again, still in the planters, there's 4 more that should be all female. This one here will be female, and that little small one I put over there, well, we don't know yet. We'll let that grow another year before we decide. So basically though, I've got, what is this, at least 6, maybe 7 females and 1 male, if that's the case. That this one, if this one is male, then yeah, I got 1 male and looks like 7 female. This Romeo cherry, that's a clone off the one down front, and it is bigger than the one down front. It's really liking it there. I had, what is it? So Myrobalan cherry plum, right? There's 2 down there. There's 1 here. There was another one that died. So as far as the Pixwells go, not Pixwells, the cherry plums go, it seems like they're better. They do better down there by that brook, and as you come up further west in the garden, they don't do as well. I'm becoming more and more convinced that this is indeed a plum tree. It definitely looks like a plum tree. Of course, the moose, right, killed the first growth, and then we've got a new shoot. So if that's plums, that's something else as a cause for a great lot of excitement. And you remember, we go in through here. I did notice somewhere with the golden raspberries, the leaves are just coming open now. The buds on the sugar maple is what this is, and they're just starting to grow. They're quite a lot behind the other maples as far as the size of the buds, but it's an healthy tree and it's starting to grow really well there. You see, here's the other plum tree, and I don't know if you can tell on the video, but the branches look exactly like that other branch. The buds are coming along. They're about the same stage as the other one that I showed you. Right, the little bud there. Well, friends, it has come time for my neighbor, that is, that the trees were just too much of a problem for that shed. And so the trees had come down. We cut down one big one, and sometime next week we'll cut down the other one. And my neighbor said, "Now you're going to have more sun on your garden." I said, "Yeah, I can't call this a shady plot anymore." That's going to be pretty much full sun now. That shed is not high enough to cast the long shadow until sometime in October or something. And even then, it'll only be like halfway out this garden. All of this front area would be full sun pretty much all year. Early in the morning, this shed casts a shadow, and the shadow comes out to about the third bed actually. I'll tell you why this is the third bed in a second. But it comes out there, and then by 10 o'clock, the shed shadow is pretty much all off of the beds, off of this patch. And so the sun will be coming around here, and all of this will be in full sun until 6 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, until any trees up here, because of course they're going to leave out now, is casting shadow down this way, and that's late in the afternoon. So I can call this now, once we take down those trees there, this will be full sun area as well. But check this out. This is the stump. Okay, we've got a 12-foot log there. And we've got that stack of firewood. Of course, we carried off all the branches, the smaller branches. But just look at how solid that tree is. And what's even more interesting, we just cut this tree yesterday, and you see it's starting to crack already as it's drying. But this stump, as big as it is, I counted 35 rings at this height. So it's about like 37 years old. And I mean, you can pause the video and count the rings yourself there. I'll zoom in halfway on one side. So that's what we've got. But you see, I can put my finger down there and look at how thick the rings are. This tree was growing really fast. It must have its roots right down in a water vein or something, because it grew awfully fast. Not only that, I'll be able to stand back here now and actually get a good shot of this garden from this direction. You see, I was doing some analysis, and I might show it to you later what I did. But I found that these two beds, except for the very outside of that one out there, it never got any sun the entire day. So this is why I quit using those. But with those 3 trees down there gone, and we're thinking, you see these trees with all the dead branches here, this is a safety issue. So we're going to take down at least this one as well. So these beds now will be back. They'll be getting plenty of sun again, enough so that I can take the vegetation off this and turn them back into garden beds again. It's going to take a bit because they've been sitting there fallow for 2 years. I think this is a cabbage, but I'm not sure. But if it's not dead, I'm going to let it grow and see what it is. I had a cabbage 1 year before, and in the second year, it gave me 3 little small cabbage heads. So they're still fairly firm. I don't really see any real sign of growth. I think, let's see if I can get you there. There just looks like there's a little spot right there that's growing. But we'll have to wait. Yeah, and there's another one in there. But we'll wait maybe next week. We'll see. Temperature's supposed to go up now. But as soon as I notice the new growth on this, I'll let you know. But that too is exciting because this is kale. Kale can be a perennial, but in colder climates, we just grow them as an annual. So we came here and we cut down the tree, and we really wasn't thinking about it. Now those beds, they're 10 feet long, so you got 20 feet plus 5 for the path. You've got another 6 feet to the stump, and then you got this bed. It went out, the tip of it was just out past this bed, so about like on a diagonal, right? It was right up to the end of that bed, so about 40 feet. That tree was tall. And we cut it down. I really didn't think much, and then we had it all cut up and the branches were laying down. We were picking up branches and I was like, oh, I forgot. So you remember the kiwi, but we didn't hurt them. Not a peck of damage on those two. This one, now this piece here cracked, but this was a dead piece anyway, right? It's brittle. So that's not a surprise. And we're right in closer to the tree. It's hard to damage blueberry bushes anyway, so blueberry bushes are just fine. And there's the second one there. The rhubarb over here are growing now. Of course, next year they'll be up sooner because this won't be a shady plot next year. This side of the garden is partially cleaned up actually, because we got that tree down and we picked up all the big branches and then raked up the little branches. So it's partially cleaned already. There's not much sign of stuff growing on in the herb garden yet. This is a mess, but I'm keeping the pain at bay, so I'll probably get this cleaned up this year. But you can just tell the difference. See, that's chives there, and that's chives there. But most of the other stuff hasn't sprung back to life yet. More chives here. See, I can get a taste of chives now if I want. They are delicious. You see, in the sunny areas, the rhubarb comes up sooner. And last year, it was looking the worse for wear by the time all that heat went by. So hopefully, it does better this year. I will get there. So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to start a small strawberry bed. Like I can start it in a bucket for that matter, and expand with good soil as I got the money and the opportunity and whatnot. Because just putting the strawberries down into the bed like that hasn't been successful. So I'm going to try something different. And then I'll start to improve these beds. Of course, the first excitement in the garden area is always when the garlic pops up and you can see every one of them is growing that I set. So now I get onto it. The weather is kind of like you don't want to really be out in it, but it is dry and there's things to be done. So what wins out, I don't know. This here should be pretty much all finished compost. Of course, there's grass. This grass is growing everywhere, right? But you see, lots of good compost in there. And I just have to sift out the grass in the big pieces, which I'll do right there. And I have to do that sooner rather than later, because those little onion seedlings that I have in the house are coming along. They have to get out of there, and I don't really want to pot them up. This is the time I can plant them out, and they'll do just fine. We won't have frost deep enough now to kill an onion seedling. So, as quickly as possible, I've got to get the compost out and lay out on 3 beds that I'm going to put onions in and get those onions out. I went up the hill earlier, and as you go up, see, you're going further away from the ocean and it gets colder. Some trees are starting to bud here on the first flat, and you go up to the second flat and there's pretty much, they're still all bare. So it'll be another week or two before that stuff up there gets going. So yeah, I think this is going to be exciting to have quite a bit of sun on this and go right over to there. And then I got this one, and I put beds here, and then I've got my beds down by the south side of the house, which I have to have because that's where I put my tomatoes, and then along by the front fence. Now we'll see how much food I'm getting out of this area, because eventually, of course, if I got everything all straightened out, then you start to pretty things up with flowers and that kind of stuff, right? So the front fence, it's a work in progress until whenever. So I'll leave it there. I just need to give you an update on what everything is looking like. And it's a beautiful actually in the spring. I mean, it's not really all that dirty, eh? I mean, I got to get some vegetation and debris out of these beds, but not much. It shouldn't take all that long to clean up the beds here. And then, of course, put the compost on them, and way to go. It's May the 3rd. So we're like well ahead of where we are, about 2 weeks ahead of where we were last year. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next video.